This is Hino's Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. We keeping the foot on the what? On the X. We keeping the foot on the what? On the X. Now let's get on to it, man, because we got to talk about this. So hear me. All right. Who told you guys, man? And the prediction king strikes again. I told you guys, man. I told you. You know, for the number 4 of covering all sides of the angles, man. Getting all sides of the equators covered. And the prediction king strikes again. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. I knew this fight was going to happen. I knew this third variation, was going to take place. I told you guys, man. All this stuff about Anthony Joshua, Eddie Hearn. You know how many times Eddie Hearn has said something and it's fell to the wayside? Let me say it again. Do you know how many times Eddie Hearn has said something and it's fell to the wayside? You Rudy Poo and you Plum Plum Brains. You classic Dotan, you troglodytes. You ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric. By the way, make sure y'all copy y'all the classic Dotan, the troglodytes tee, the Rudy Poo and the Plum Plum Brain sweatshirts. And guess what? The ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric t-shirts that's coming out tomorrow. But let's get on to the video, man. Hear me. Well, Deontay Wilder, man. Bomb Squad. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Bronze Bomber is coming back in this third fight, and he's going to win via KO stoppage. And y'all got to give Earl the True Spence credit, because Earl the True Spence is basically building up his own. Let me say it again. He's building up his own. He basically said, the UK folks, they support Tyson Fury, so I'm going to support my own. He was shocked at the events that took place in the second fight. We know the totality of it. Earl the True Spence spoke blatantly and bluntly about it and talked about it being Glovegate, basically. So we know the history behind it. This is why Tyson Fury could not basically enjoy the spoils of this win, because everyone knows that this win was an artificial win. It was a Glovegate win. Just like Spygate, just like Deflategate, it was Glovegate. But in this case, Spygate and Deflategate with Tom Brady was just them hating on the New England Patriots. Whereas Glovegate is something that is authentic, something that is real, and something that is consistent with what it is with Tyson Fury, him being a cheater, that is. The truth of the fact of the matter is this. We're going to have a third fight. It's going to be later this year. You saw how many people waffled and said, well, you know, Deontay Wilder is going to have to, you know what I'm saying, turn around and just allow Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury to fight. Deontay Wilder gave you guys 2 requirements. If you want me to fight a Tyson Fury, you're going to have to pay me $10 million. And you're going to have to give me a guaranteed fight either with Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury, whoever wins that fight. That was his requirements. They couldn't fulfill that. Eddie Hearn and them, Tyson Fury and them, let me clear my throat. Let me say it again. Eddie Hearn and them, Tyson Fury and them, let me clear my throat. They didn't want to do that because they know ultimately, damn, after I've sat here and fought the likes of an Anthony Joshua versus a Tyson Fury, I got to turn around and fight Deontay Wilder. See, Deontay Wilder made this thing in such a way to where you still got to come see me. Let me say it again. Deontay Wilder made this thing in a way to where you still got to come see him. Here's the cold-hearted, the unadulterated, and the cutthroat truth-telling fashion. So hear me again, and hear me again. Well, Deontay Wilder is going to knock out Tyson Fury in the third fight. It's not going to be this nonsense about Deontay Wilder is going to fight Dillian White for interim WBC belt. That's not going to happen, because people are wishing that Tyson Fury wins again. That's not happening. Remember, in boxing, there's fixing going on. In boxing, there's staging going on. People don't want to believe this stuff. Boxing has controversies associated behind it. Boxing is corrupt in a lot of ways. And I love the damn sport. I'm one of the boxing connoisseurs. I'm one of the people that know this shit like nobody's business. Up there with the best of them. But the truth of the fact of the matter is, I also am aware of boxing being what? A 3-pronged monster. Economics, politics, and pugilism. Get ready for that t-shirt as well, too. Let me say it again. Boxing being a 3-pronged monster. Economics, politics, and pugilism. Get ready for that t-shirt as well, too. The truth of the fact of the matter is, boxing has its corrupt ways associated with it. Boxing has a lot of, basically what we'll say, collusion that's involved to get the bottom line. Here's what the bottom line was. Boxing was looking at things from a sense of we need a mega fight. We need a mega fight with mega fighters. Who were the mega fighters in this instance? Who's been carrying the sport? When you look at the sport itself, you see that there are 3 fighters that are legitimately carrying this fucking sport. It's not no Canelo Alvarez. It's Deontay Wilder, Earl Spence, and Gervonta Davis. These are the 3 guys that are carrying the sport. Let me say it again. Deontay Wilder, Earl Spence, and Gervonta Davis. These are the guys that are carrying the sport, not Canelo Alvarez. You could put an Anthony Joshua and a Tyson Fury ahead of a Canelo Alvarez because we see that Canelo Alvarez is not what everybody thought he was. He ain't no fucking cash cow. I knew that a long time ago because, like Richard Schaefer said, we left the Mayweather era and we ushered into the Spence era. But Deontay Wilder is extremely popular. Gervonta Tank Davis is extremely popular. In the lightweight division, nobody's more popular than Gervonta Tank Davis. Say what you want. Love or hate the man. In the heavyweight division, nobody's more popular than Deontay Wilder. Love it or hate it. You saw the Forbes. Tyson Fury was number 1. Anthony Joshua was number 2. But Deontay Wilder was number 3. So yes, Deontay Wilder doesn't make the most, but he's the most popular heavyweight. And he did that off of one fight. $46.5 million. That's insane. That tells you everything you need to know about this fight being fixed. Tyson Fury made the same amount of money, $46.5 million. The reason why he made 57 is because he made an extra $11 million with the WWE. Don't get that shit twisted. Remember, he had an $11 million check with the WWE, and that's why he's at 57. But here's the truth of the fact of the matter. So hear me again, and hear me again. Wow. You have to look at the undercurrents and the underlying truths that's associated with this. Deontay Wilder is a mover and a shaker. And the heavyweight division can't move without him. They need Mr. Bomb Squad in order for them to get the thumb and the needle going on. Otherwise, the heavyweight division is stale as fuck. That's the facts. And when you look at Frank Warren and you look at Bob Arum, they told you it was going to be a trilogy fight. Let me say it again. When you look at Frank Warren and you look at Bob Arum, they told you it was going to be a trilogy fight. Look how much money they made off of this fight. Tyson Fury made $46.5 million. Deontay Wilder made $46.5 million. Basically, they had a 50-50 split. Damn. Imagine what the third fight is going to be. And you thought, you classic Dothan, you troglodytes, you Rudy Poo and you plum brains, you ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric, that there was going to be a step aside? See, this is the problem with reverse bias, aka detractors, aka panders. What they do in their pandering, in their detracting, in their reverse biasum, is they try to delude you and steer you off track. Oh yeah, Deontay Wilder needs to step aside because Anthony Joshua needs to fight Tyson Fury. How does that help moving the thumb and the needle of boxing? You want these big fights to happen. Right now, the biggest fight is Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. So you're going to mess that up knowing that Deontay Wilder KO'd Tyson Fury in the first fight, got robbed of a KO, legit KO, because he had an Undertaker moment. Tyson Fury got a glove gate, fake ass TKO in the second fight. But what about the third fight? Don't they need to settle it? That's what Trilogy is all about. That's what running it is all about. Running it back is all about. But then you're going to interrupt that because you want to see Anthony Joshua. That's going to devalue the sport. Boxing needs every big fight that it could possibly take at this point. Why do you think fight fans are clamoring for Earl Spence versus Terrence Crawford? Why do you think fight fans are clamoring for Gervonta Tank Davis versus Vasily Lomachenko? Why do you think fight fans are clamoring for these big fights? It's because boxing needs this. Canelo Alvarez versus Jamal Charlo. Whenever he stops, a DuckTales, a woo, a DuckTales, a woo. There's a stranger out to find you. There's a stranger out to find you. What to do is grab on you some DuckTales, woo. When Cinnamon Alvarez stops DuckTailing Jamal Charlo, that's a fight everybody wants to see. Because the sport needs these big ass fights. So we gotta give credit where credit is due. Deontay Wilder, Bomb Squad, and Tyson Fury. They set the tone. They re-galvanized the sport because they had the first super fight that we haven't seen in boxing in a long time. And you reverse bias, aka detractors, aka pandas, thought that was going to get interrupted, that was going to get halted off of the strength of Anthony Joshua. Man, go sit down somewhere and higgity fucking hush. It's not going to happen. The truth of the fact of the matter is the third fight was going to take place. who was the one that was predicting this shit all along? Who was the one that was telling you guys in cold-hearted, unadulterated, cutthroat, truth-telling fashion that this fight was going to continue to take place? Enos the Sport bringing you that what? That heat and that fire. And keeping the foot on the what? On the necks. And keeping the foot on the what? On the necks. I was the one that was consistent and authentic about this throughout the interim of it. Because I'm Sun Tzu, aka Art of War, 7 steps ahead of the game. I'm not thinking like these Rudy Poo and these Plum Plum brains. I'm not thinking like these classic Dota and these troglodytes. I'm not thinking like these ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric. I'm thinking looking at boxing for what it is. And my boxing true eye test told me there was no way that a Frank Warren and a Bob Arum was going to leave all of that money on the table along with Al Heyman. These 3 guys working behind the scene, there was no way that they were going to let a potential third fight that both fighters could make anywhere to upwards of $80 to $90 million each. They were just going to leave that on the table, all because they wanted to appease AJ Devo. All because they wanted to appease these UK fans. No. AJ Devo, we know who you are. The little mouse that runs back into the hole he crawled out of. The truth of the fact of the matter is this: Anthony Joshua has to wait until we decide a winner between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Once that winner is decided upon, once we figured out the totality and the logistics of that, then we are going to know who Anthony Joshua is going to fight. I know it's going to be Deontay Wilder because I know Deontay Wilder is preparing himself. I know Deontay Wilder's training, and I know Deontay Wilder's working in the lab to ensure that this third fight, he comes out blazing. His athleticism is there. His stamina is there, and he's fighting like nobody's business. That's the cold-hearted and the unadulterated and the cutthroat troops. When the third fight happens, whenever that is, whether it's the end of this year or the top of next year, Deontay Wilder is going to flatline Tyson Fury. There's not going to be an Undertaker moment. And I'm going to end it like Mr. Bomb Squad does. Bomb Squad!